The date. Test. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the May 18th, 2026 meeting of the Healdsburg City Council. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Higley, Councilmember Kelly. Here. Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Edwards.
Here.
Mayor Harrod.
Here. I'd just like to mention that our city attorney, who is normally here, is available to us, but is not present with us here tonight. But if we have any need for her services, she will be available to us. She's on Zoom. There she is. Okay. All right. So let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. There were no closed sessions to report on, so we'll move on to announcements and presentations and recognition of employees with milestone anniversaries. We'll start off with, we can start off with you. I had Chief O as first, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go with that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's get the fire department done because we missed them last time. Just for those of you who weren't here, we tried to do this recognition and the fire department got called out twice. So.
Well, thank you, Mayor Harrod, members of council, city staff, and members of the public. I'm Jason Boaz, Fire Chief. But before we get started, I do want to give a big thank you to Dry Creek Rancheria Fire Department, who happened to come down here to the city and cover for us for a few minutes so that we can hopefully get through this without an interruption this time. So thank you to those guys. So tonight we're here to recognize two of our firefighters for 15 years of dedicated service to Healdsburg Fire Department and the city of Healdsburg. So if I could have Blake Ratto and Mike Jacobs both come up here together. I'm going to do this together if you don't mind. You guys can just stand right here. I think it's fitting that we have both of these gentlemen up here tonight together, as they were in the same academy in 2011 and have served 15 years side by side. I'll begin with firefighter Jacobs. And as I mentioned, he began in his career at Healdsburg Fire in 2011, bringing with him the experience he gained as a volunteer with Windsor Fire Protection District. He was hired full-time with Healdsburg Fire in July of 2017. And Mike grew up here in Sonoma County and attended Cardinal Newman High School. Firefighter Jacobs is also a part-time instructor at the Santa Rosa Junior College Public Safety Training Center, where he teaches, among other things, Firefighter 1 skills, self-contained breathing apparatus, and vehicle fire suppression tactics to the recruits. Mike was chosen as Firefighter of the Year in 2017 because of his skills and his commitment and his dedication to the department. He has an Associate of Arts degree from Santa Rosa Junior College and a bachelor's degree from Cal Poly Humboldt in leadership, a degree he earned while working full-time as a firefighter. Mike is also qualified as an acting fire engineer, enabling him to drive and operate all of the fire engines and associated equipment, a role in which he fills often to fill vacancies due to vacation, sick leave, and other absences. In fact, he is currently in the recruitment process underway to fill a vacancy in our fire engineer rank. As one of his staff assignments, Mike works diligently to keep our engines and equipment in service and in top condition. He schedules everything from minor repairs to major equipment problems. Firefighter Jacobs is also on our apparatus committee at the fire department and helped with the specifications and build most recently of our new ladder truck and currently the new Type 1 engine that is on order from Pierce Manufacturing. Mike is also a CPR instructor and teaches many of the classes we offer to the public here at Healdsburg Fire. What I appreciate about Mike, among other things, is that he's always smiling when I first see him in the morning, and he always asks me how I'm doing and if I need anything, and it's sincere. He takes pride in being a firefighter. He takes pride in our equipment and our station, and he always conducts himself professionally. I also appreciate Mike's commitment to his family and his community. He's always willing to lend a hand, on or off duty, and he goes out of his way to help people in need. And next we have firefighter Blake Ratto. Blake also began his career here at Healdsburg Fire in 2011, also as a reserve firefighter. And Blake was firefighter of the year in 2015. 2013, and he was hired full-time in 2015. Blake was born and raised in Windsor. He attended St. John's Catholic School here in Healdsburg, and he also went to high school at Cardinal Newman. After beginning his college career at Santa Rosa Junior College, Blake went on to attend Sonoma State University, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology. At Healdsburg Fire, Blake manages one of the more difficult, tedious, and time-consuming staff assignments we have, which is our PPE program. As firefighters, as you know, we have an enormous amount of personal protective equipment that all needs to be maintained, ordered, stocked, repaired. And this includes our structure fire turnouts, our wildland gear, our water rescue gear, our ballistic protection gear, and all of our station uniforms. And Blake handles all of that. It's not the most exciting staff assignment, but Blake does an incredible job making sure we all have everything we need to do our job, and it's always in excellent condition. Blake is also an acting fire engineer and often works in that capacity. He stepped up and filled the engineer position for over a year when we had a staff member out on injury. Notably, Blake was the acting engineer during the Kincaid fire, helping our crews to save multiple homes on Torion Drive. Blake is also in the engineer promotional process currently underway. What I appreciate the most about Blake, other than his unwavering reliability, is that he does all of this with a professional attitude and never complains. He has a great sense of humor and is a joy to be around. As you probably know, Blake is married to Sergeant Kristen Ratto, formerly Kristen Dean, and they live in Windsor with their beautiful daughter, Holly. I'm very proud of the staff we have at Healdsburg Fire Department, and these two gentlemen are a big part of it. They're good firefighters, they're good public servants, and they're good people. Blake and Mike, thank you for 15 years of service to Healdsburg Fire and the city of Healdsburg, and I hope that both of you will stay with us for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a great recognition. I want to do the photos for this group first, and then there's some other proclamations on. We'll do another set of photos later on. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Would you like to speak? We'd love to hear from you. A few words.
I just want to say thank you to the community. This industry and this department in particular has been my dream job. I've worked really hard for it, and I couldn't do it without the support of my family along the way. It's been a lot of hours away from home, a lot of hard work. And Jenny and I live over by Memorial Bridge, so to be able to work in the community you live in, I think gives you a little bit more vested interest when it comes to certain things. So last 15 years have flown by, and thank you to everyone. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Blake?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Mike said, very grateful, very fortunate to be able to work up here, spent a lot of time up here growing up as a kid and obviously as an adult, and couldn't be up here today without the support of not only my family, but also the department and all the other members, current and past, who have helped me get to this point. So thank you.
All right, thank you. So yeah, let's do a photo now. And you're welcome to invite your family or other firefighters up. Whoever would like to be part of it is welcome.
You guys want to do one at a time or it doesn't matter?
Too late. All right. Where's that proclamation? All right. Thank you.
Yours? Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Larry.
I wasn't gonna get up until called this time. I am very happy to be here to acknowledge and celebrate the 5-year anniversary of Kevin Newman, industrial mechanic in our Public Works Department. He hired on as a utility worker in the original Public Works Department. And I didn't get much chance to get to know him then because his skills were so obvious that he quickly promoted to the industrial worker within the industrial mechanic, within the utility department. But since the two groups have merged, I have been able to spend more time, and I'm very happy to see the respect that all of his coworkers have for him. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to one of his coworkers, his first line supervisor, Patrick Foos, to say a little bit more about that and invite Kevin to come up along with.
It'll be painless. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Over the past few years, it's been my pleasure to have been Kevin Newman's supervisor. To say he's been a good hire would be an understatement. Kevin Newman has not only met every expectation of his role, but fundamentally elevated the performance and culture of our entire department. Kevin possesses a rare ability to identify inefficiencies and create innovative solutions. He recognized a bottleneck in our new recycled water pipeline, and on his own initiative, he developed a systematic approach to confirm every isolation valve and air release valve was open and functioning properly, allowing flow at full capacity to all the locations receiving it. The quality of Kevin's work is consistently beyond reproach. He approaches every task with an extreme sense of responsibility and attention to detail. Whether it's a routine daily task or a high-stakes project, the results are always polished and professional. His colleagues know that if Kevin is involved, the final product will set the benchmark for excellence. Communication is key for the work that Kevin does, both internally with the water and wastewater operations and externally with public works crews. Kevin excels in both internal and external communications. He has a unique talent for translating complex ideas into actionable steps, ensuring everyone from stakeholders to colleagues is aligned with the process. Kevin consistently advocates for the right solution for the situation. A notable example is when he saw that the sewage grinders, we call them muffin monsters if you ever hear that term bantered about, had become worn, and the typical solution is to flip over the cutters, and that was not going to be effective. Kevin advocated for a replacement unit and recommended keeping the old unit as an at-the-ready standby, which directly resulted in a better process for wastewater treatment and better reliability for that aspect of the process. Kevin maintains an unwavering sense of positivity, even under high-pressure deadlines. An example of this was with our non-potable water system over at the water reclamation facility that absolutely had to be done before leaving. Kevin's contagious, can-do attitude inspires his coworkers to get tasks done. My only complaint, and shocker, I have complaints. My only complaint with Mr. Newman is that I cannot take credit for his hire. Jared DeRico is the one that recognized the quality that Kevin brings. Along with these accolades, Kevin is an amiable fellow. He brings a sense of humor to the workplace, which is much appreciated because we deal with so many unpleasant things. In my opinion, Kevin Newman is the definition of a high-impact employee. His blend of technical skill, innovative thinking, genuine fortitude, and as the kids these days say, Riz, makes him the heart of the industrial group. I applaud his tireless dedication to the city's mission to provide essential city services, and I share your congratulations for him on his 5th year anniversary.
Thank you, Patrick. Would you like to say a few words, Kevin?
Oh, God, I'm saying.
Okay, he's going to pass. Please stick around. We're going to do a photo afterwards. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Pardon me? No, excuse me? You have another one it's at the end. I don't know if we need to stick to the order or not, but thanks for. All right. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to proclamation declaring May 26th as Jewish American Heritage Month. A proclamation of the City Council of the City of Healdsburg declaring the month of May 2026 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Healdsburg. Whereas Jewish Americans have been an important part of the American story and have greatly contributed to all areas of American life and culture since our nation's earliest days. And whereas on April 20th, 2006, the federal government proclaimed May as Jewish American Heritage Month, stating, as a nation of immigrants, the United States is better and stronger because Jewish people from all over the world have chosen to become American citizens. And since then, proclamations in support of Jewish American Heritage Month have been made by presidents of the United States. And whereas generations of Jews have fled to the United States in search of a better life for themselves and their families, and these immigrants made invaluable contributions in support of equality and civil rights through their leadership and achievements. And whereas Jewish Americans connect to their Jewish identity in a variety of ways, such as culturally, ethnically, religiously, and by following Jewish ethics and values, and whereas Jewish Americans are racially, ethnically, socially, politically, and economically diverse, and around 25% of Bay Area Jewish households include a person of color, increasing to nearly 40% of households if the head of the household is younger than 35. And whereas Healdsburg shares an obligation to condemn and combat anti-Semitism wherever it exists, to include Jewish Americans in all facets of civic life, and to stand with the Jewish American community against hatred or bigotry in our city and country. And whereas there's a need for education and policy that are culturally competent when describing, discussing, and addressing the impacts of being Jewish in all aspects of American society, including discourse and policy. And whereas we celebrate the rich and diverse heritage of the Jewish American community, including those who live, work, and play in Healdsburg, now therefore be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Healdsburg declares the month of May 2026 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Healdsburg. So to receive the proclamation is Irene Hodes. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor Herod. Honored City Council members, we are so grateful. Thank thank you for this recognition and opportunity for us to be here today. Declaring May as Jewish American Heritage Month in Healdsburg shows our community that you see us, that we belong here, that we are safe here, and that we are valued here. Jews represent just over 2% of Americans and just over 3% of Californians. And though we are very small, we have made mighty contributions since the first Jews arrived in the United States. Well, they weren't the United States, they were the Americas in the 17th century. We've had 8 Supreme Court judges to date and over 100 Nobel laureates, the pioneers of Hollywood, scientists, composers, astronauts, inventors, physicians, lawmakers. Jews have always been an important part of civic, cultural, and economic life of communities just like ours in Healdsburg. And Jewish Americans have indeed changed the world. And here in Healdsburg, we've got a lot of people that showed up today. After the October 7th atrocities in Israel, the Jewish community started coming together and trying to find each other, and formed what is now a nascent and thriving Jewish Healdsburg community. We have held numerous monthly Shabbat dinner gatherings. We have celebrated holidays together like Passover and Hanukkah here in Healdsburg, and film nights and a lot more. Just the candle lighting that we have, the beautiful, beautiful Hanukkah menorah in the plaza is such an incredible symbol that brings us together, and we are grateful. Next month, we'll be celebrating another post-Shabbat Havdalah, and the Healdsburg community is very welcome to join Jewish Healdsburg in all of these activities. And I believe the website is jewishhealdsburg.org. And just to conclude, a little sad statistic, though we are 2% of the population of the United States. Here, we incur over 15% of hate crimes, 15% of hate crimes, and 74% of religious-based hate crimes in California. Anti-Semitism is the oldest prejudice. And in a time of extraordinary polarization, with the very real threat on our democracy here in this country, knowing that we as Jews belong here in Healdsburg with the support of our incredible leaders like you, it means everything. And for that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your words and for being here tonight. Please stick around. We'll ask you to join us for a photo a little later on. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the Affordable Housing Month proclamation with Councilmember Hagley.
All right. Proclamation of the City Council of the City of Healdsburg recognizes the month of May 2026 as Affordable Housing Month in the City of Healdsburg. Whereas the month of May is recognized as National Affordable Housing Month, and affordable housing is essential for creating stable, healthy, and vibrant communities and plays a crucial role in addressing poverty and inequality. And every individual deserves a safe, decent, and affordable place to call home regardless of their income or background. And the strength of Healdsburg community and economy depends on providing access to housing options that allow current and future residents of all income levels and ethnicities to live where they work. And the City of Healdsburg's Housing Element and Housing Action Plan call for an increase in deed-restricted affordable housing, optimization of affordable housing production, and expansion of affordable housing incentives, which we've been very good at, I'll just say. And the City of Healdsburg is committed to providing access to affordable housing for all its residents and has adopted policies and programs to increase the production of affordable housing and expand access to affordable home ownership opportunities. And Affordable Housing Month provides an opportunity for us to recognize the critical importance of affordable housing, raise awareness about the need for affordable homes, and highlight the work of organizations and individuals who are dedicated to increasing access to affordable housing for all members of our community. And the city encourages the public to join in the recognition of the importance of affordable housing in our community during Affordable Housing Month. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Healdsburg hereby recognizes the month of May 2026 as Affordable Housing Month in the City of Healdsburg.
Thank you. And I'd like to bring up Sonia Bick-Barwick from Generation Housing to receive the proclamation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the council and to the city for declaring May Affordable Housing Month, the proclamation. It is encouraging to see the work that's being done here in Healdsburg with Saggio Hills, with Dry Creek Commons. I'm super excited to come to the opening of Bowman Place this coming Thursday. This is showing real progress. And as you know, these new homes don't just represent houses. They represent stability, opportunity, places for our workforce to live and thrive. So we appreciate all the leadership that you have shown, and you know that it takes a lot of collaboration to move things forward. So we look forward to working together to see more housing coming to Healdsburg in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to a proclamation recognizing May 17th through 23rd as Public Works Week. Councilmember Mitchell.
Thank you. So a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Healdsburg recognizing May 17 through 23rd, 2026 as Public Works Week in the City of Healdsburg. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Healdsburg. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And it is in the public interest for the community members, civic leaders, and children in Healdsburg to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And the City of Healdsburg Public Works employees continuously demonstrate gold medal standards for their dedication and commitment to making Healdsburg a great place to live, work, and visit. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Healdsburg does hereby designate the week of May 17 through 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in the City of Healdsburg, and urges all community members to pay tribute to our public works professionals and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all.
Thank you. We're going to welcome Public Works Foreman Victor Halverson to receive the proclamation. But first, we have a few words from Public Works Director. No, you can come up.
No,
come on up.
At the risk of embarrassing myself again, I'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, please do.
To acknowledge this man who will be accepting the proclamation on behalf of Public Works. It's a department that often goes, whose work goes unnoticed, but is truly essential for every member of the community. Vic has served the city for more than 35 years, and as a utility maintenance foreman, he has truly embodied the Public Works motto, first to arrive, last to leave. More importantly, he has set the standard for customer service. And that's not just my opinion. Vic was nominated by his peers and is the recipient of this year's Pride in Public Service Award. So he is the perfect person to accept the proclamation. And if I could ask other Public Works people to come up to stand alongside. Go ahead, Vic.
Thank you. I'm very honored to receive this proclamation on behalf of my coworkers in the Public Works Department. I love Healdsburg. We work hard to make this city work and function as a city as it does. There are troubling times, but we make it work. So I thank the council for recognizing National Public Works Week, and I thank the council for recognizing our Public Works Department very much.
Well, thank you very much. And 35 years, did I hear that right?
37 years.
37, over 35 years, 37 years. That's amazing. And we're so grateful for those many years of service. And it's been a pleasure to know you for even longer than that, Victor.
Yeah.
But you really are kind of a legend in the staff, and it's great to see that you've been recognized by your peers. So you truly deserve it. But certainly happy also just to recognize such a fantastic department that really does keep things running in this city. So thank you all very much. I think we will start with this group for our photo, okay? And yeah. Okay, moving on to city manager reports, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. That was a lot of ceremonial items, so I'll try to be quick, but I do just, after all of that, want to thank the council for taking the time to recognize all of the proclamations, but in particular, employees who are hitting milestones and winning awards. Sometimes we do important work in this room, but sometimes it feels a little disconnected from some of the work that's happening day to day out in the field. So I know it means a lot to our staff to be recognized as they hit these 5-year anniversary milestones. We don't force anybody to come to a city council meeting, but we gently encourage, and often they're very happy to do so. So it's something I know our staff appreciates, and I thank you for that. Sort of on that note, the first update I wanted to provide is that yesterday on very windy Sunday, we had a lot of staff out there responding. We didn't have, for the most part, severe impacts from the wind, but a number, as I'm sure you know, of branches and bits of trees down. So the cleanup is ongoing and will be for a bit of time, but but we're doing our best to respond to that. And then as the council knows, and at least half the community knows, we had a tree limb that hit a power line that took out our south feeder, which unfortunately for the people in that area is pretty much the same geography that was impacted by a power outage a few months ago when again a tree limb hit a line. The good news I can share though is that we were able to respond really quickly. It was relatively straightforward, and thanks to our crews getting out there on a Sunday morning. I don't have an exact time. I don't know if we know, but I'm pretty sure it was less than an hour from impact to correction. So good work and could have been, we know it's inconvenient for people, but it could have been worse. So I appreciate the crews that got out and took care of that. And a lot of crews from various departments will be helping with the cleanup in the next several days. So we came through that pretty well, but did have some impacts. Wanted to just note a couple of things coming up that I think you heard before, that we have a ribbon cutting for Bowman Place at the North Village. This is the affordable housing component kind of tucked between Enzo Village and the Appalachian Hotel, put together by Burbank Housing, and we've watched it getting closer and closer in the last few months, and it's ready for occupancy. So we look forward to celebrating that opening on Thursday morning. And then obviously we have a busy weekend again with a parade this Thursday evening. I know the council will be front and center in that parade, and then the FFA festivities throughout the weekend. So we had a busy weekend this past weekend and another busy one coming, but I think we're prepared and we're excited. Just a couple of other quick mentions about public works activities I wanted to give you all a heads up about. We have a crosswalk, you probably know, that was taken out by a motorist at Plaza Street and Healdsburg Avenue recently. We've had some questions about the repair of that. I just wanted to share that I signed the purchase order just earlier today to get that underway. It proved what might seem like a pretty simple swapping out of equipment proved to be quite complicated when some of the equipment that went into that crosswalk is no longer available, and it necessitated a much more complicated repair than we would have hoped. But we do have that underway. We're expecting a few weeks for product delivery, and then the installation should be relatively quick. So it will be another few weeks. We'll keep temporary signage out there and appreciate everybody's patience. But I do want to just share that work is underway. We'll also share more about this in the coming weeks. I think we're probably at least a month away, but we're looking into doing some smoke testing of our sewer system later this summer. This is a way of testing you may have seen before here or elsewhere, leak and infiltrations to be able to identify where you have gaps in the system that need to be repaired. And it is what it sounds like, using smoke to see where those leaks are and where it appears. That obviously can be a little bit disconcerting for people who don't know what we're doing. So we'll make sure that everybody in those areas will know what we're doing and won't cause any undue concern. So there'll be, if that moves forward as planned, there'll be a lot more information coming out. But I just wanted to share preliminarily that it's something we're working on. Something we try to do periodically just to get ahead of testing our system and make sure everything is functioning as expected. So wanted to share that. I think that's all I have. We have plenty more events coming down the chute this summer, but I think that keeps us through the next week.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments for our city manager? Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to public comments on items on the consent calendar and non-agenda items. This time is set aside to receive comments from the public on any item of interest to the public within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council other than scheduled agenda items. Pursuant to the Brown Act, however, the City Council cannot consider any issues or take action on any request during this comment period. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak tonight? Please come forward.
Okay,
Welcome.
I'm Ed Wong. My wife and I own the house on 201 Powell Avenue where the plan is to put in a crosswalk. I want to make it clear, we were not aware that a crosswalk was planned until Halloween this last year, even though the contract was let to design it back in March and the grant request was back in 2022. Our neighbor at 830 Johnson, she was unaware. She's on the opposite side of this crosswalk. Our neighbors at 141 and 145 Powell were also unaware. So, there was no communication. And all of a sudden, someone shows up at our door and says, oh, we're putting in a crosswalk, and here's what it's going to look like. The plan originally was that it was going to be, crosswalk was going to come across from Johnson to pretty much our front doorstep, our front gate. Whereas our access way, we have the bike pedestrian access way through our property, which we have to endure all the problems with, but it drains right into Johnson. And we had wanted the crosswalk to go through the access way to the other side of Johnson. But we were told that that couldn't happen. Supposedly the basis of this crosswalk is for school safety. But anybody who's watched traffic on Powell will see that the kids from the high school go from the high school to the 7-Eleven, and anybody that's going on the south side of Powell, they cross at the high school, between Fitch and Prince. They don't cross at our area. I set up a surveillance camera and watched all the traffic going through the crosswalk. I saw 2 students cross over, and there were 3 bicyclists that were probably headed to St. John's that might have used it if it was there, but they're probably told by their parents to go down to the high school and cross over. All the middle schoolers go down to the high school and cross. So our main concern with this is that, there's a quality of life issue. It's going to make make noise. It's going to beep and it's going to flash. But if you look at it, there's no flashing, no such thing at the high school where there's more traffic. The lights, the overhead light at the high school goes off after school lets out. So even though there are school events in the evening, there's no warning that there's a school crossing there. There's a lot of inconsistencies here. And, so, there are a lot of places where a rapid flashing beacon would be better served. And that, there's the crossing at Sherman.
Please conclude your remarks.
Okay, Healdsburg Avenue at Sherman, where I almost got hit because a car failed to stop when I was in the crosswalk, and it, was a few feet from me. And also at the roundabout, all those points are hard to see, and they're very short right from the roundabout. And so, since the city is so adverse,
I need to ask you to conclude, please.
Being sued, then you've been warned, and,
Thank you.
But basically, the city did not tell us, that their report says.
Thank you. Everybody has 3 minutes. Thank you. If anybody else would like to come forward for public comment, please. No one else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And no, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar, please?
So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Higley,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Harrod.
Yes. All right. And moving on to public hearings, no public hearing. Business items will go to item 8A, electric vehicle and electric panel rebates with utility conservation analyst Tara Sampson. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor and Council members. My name is Tara Sampson, Utility Conservation Analyst, and this presentation will discuss electric vehicles, EV chargers, and electric panel rebate recommendations. Next slide, please. And the recommended action for this evening is to adopt a resolution authorizing new rebate programs for EV purchases, EV chargers, and electric panel upgrades. Next slide. So as a reminder, before we review the recommended rebates, we have two primary funding sources for the city's greenhouse gas reduction programs related to energy. California's Cap and Invest program, which must be used to benefit electric ratepayers while reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and California's Low Carbon Fuel Standards program, which must be used to support transportation electrification and predominantly for the benefit of low-income residents. Next slide. So here is a list of our current Healdsburg energy programs for electric transportation and for building energy, which, as you can see here, we have a variety of energy programs, and more information about each of these is available at smartlivinghealdsburg.org, where folks can find more information and the rebate applications. Next slide, please. So during the early February council meeting, we discussed the state's low carbon fuel standards program, and council provided direction on new and expanded energy programs. As a quick recap, council expressed interest in utilizing the one-time additional LCFS, low carbon fuel standard funds, to expand public EV charging, which more information will be brought to council at a later date and is not part of this item. Council also authorized various enhancements to existing transportation electrification programs, primarily for low-income residents, and council expressed interest in developing and expanding some new programs, which I will go over staff's recommendation for adding these programs tonight. Next slide, please. So the first program we'll discuss is based on council's feedback. Staff recommend an EV purchase rebate for low-income residents. The key elements shown here are in alignment with the council direction provided in February, such as a rebate of $5,000 and a maximum pilot allocation of $250,000, which can be fully funded by unsold low-carbon fuel standards credits. One distinction in staff's recommendation is that the majority of council members discussed a rebate for used EVs, and staff is recommending that the rebate be for new or pre-owned EVs and plug-in hybrid EVs, but with a maximum sale price of $50,000. This provides more flexibility and choice for low-income residents while still ensuring that the rebate has an impact of at least 10%. Staff also recommend a limit of 2 rebates per household and requiring enrollment in an associated city charging program. This provides additional benefits to the customers and also helps Healdsburg to mitigate any potential impacts, any potential negative impacts on the grid from increased EV charging during peak demands. Next slide, please. Council direction during the February meeting also directed staff to look into additional rebate offerings, EV charger rebates for non-income qualified residents, and rebates for electric panel upgrades to support EV charging and building electrification. So as shown earlier on the list of programs, Healdsburg does already offer an EV charger rebate and associated panel or service upgrade rebate specifically for low-income customers to facilitate participation in the home energy load management program. And based on council direction, staff are recommending to add a rebate of $500 for non-income qualified customers that install a charger compatible with the home energy load management program. At this time, that is a ChargePoint internet connected charger, and OptiWatt, the home energy load management program administrator, is actively working to integrate with additional home charger manufacturers. Ideally, EVs connect directly with the OptiWatt app. However, some EVs do not have this capability and/or the manufacturer does not allow this type of direct connection. Therefore, adding this new rebate for home EV chargers will support transportation electrification and participation in the home energy load management program. I'll emphasize again that participation in the home energy load management program is very important to assure that Healdsburg can manage these new EV charging loads. And based on council direction, staff are also recommending to add a rebate of $1,000 for a panel upgrade or upsizing associated with either a building electrification rebate or with EV charging. This would help residents that have a panel or service that cannot support electrification to complete their electrification project. And both of these new rebates would be supported by available cap and invest funds. Next slide, please. Again, the recommendation for tonight is to adopt a resolution authorizing new rebate programs for EV purchases, EV charger, and electric panel upgrades. And on the next slide, I can take any questions.
Okay, we'll go ahead and see if there's any clarifying questions, and then we'll go to public comment. Does anybody have questions about the presentation for? Yes.
Remind us, the care qualified customers, what is the low income threshold that you typically use to find out if somebody qualifies? Is it based on area median income?
It is. So the electric bill discount program, our care program, is based on 80% of the area median income or below.
Thanks. Yeah.
Any other questions? I've got one. Can you briefly describe what participation in the load management program entails?
So the home energy load management program is run through OptiWatt, and it entails having a device that would be, in the case that we're talking about tonight, an EV or a home EV charger that is compatible. You create an OptiWatt user account, connect your device, input your preferences and settings, and then OptiWatt automatically helps avoid the hours of 5 to 8 p.m. and the customer participating in the program gets an enrollment incentive and ongoing incentives for their active participation.
Great, thank you. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up to public comment. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Welcome.
So my name is Randy Johnson, and first of all, I want to start by saying thank you to the council, thank you to the city for allowing funds for electric vehicles. In my case, it's mostly about electric e-bikes. And so far, I've not heard anything about that in here. Is there going to be more to the presentation that includes this part of it, or is that it?
We'll cover that question after your comment.
The e-bikes, it's part of it, you mean?
Yeah, would you go ahead and complete your comment, and then when we come back, we can
look at that. Basically, just I'm hoping that there will be some discussion about e-bikes and how they get rebated and so forth and so on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else has comment this evening? All right, well, we'll go ahead and start with that question then.
Sure. So we discussed the e-bikes during the February meeting, and council did approve an increased e-bike rebate for low-income customers. So low-income customers can now receive a rebate of up to $1,000 and up to 2 rebates per household for the purchase of an e-bike. Non-income qualified customers can receive a rebate of $400 if purchased in Healdsburg and $300 if purchased elsewhere, such as Santa Rosa or online. And the e-bikes, typically we do allow either new or used. So that has been utilized in Healdsburg a bit, where folks are maybe purchasing a e-bike that had been previously used as a rental by a company that would still qualify for the rebate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll bring it back to council. Vice Mayor Edwards.
Yeah,
In regards to, there has been, I've heard from the Sonoma County Bicycle Coalition, a couple of our shops about hopefully can get some support from other council members to change this to a voucher program, because this is the program that really gives people access to electrification, starting with e-bikes and understanding that program. It's more affordable for people to transport through town, getting from the north end to the south end, one end of town to the other. So I'd like to see if we could, it is on this, it says none change, but again, we haven't utilized that program very much on the e-bikes, and I'd like to see us utilizing that program more. See lots of kids on e-bikes, but I'd like to see some adults. I know we did the 2 bikes per household to expand that program. And I know that, I don't know, how many vouchers, how many rebates have we given since we've had this program?
Sure. So as in February, I responded that in 2025, there were 13 e-bike rebates and 4 of them were for low-income customers. Thus far in 2026, we have had 10 e-bike rebates and 2 of those were for low-income customers, plus the e-bike prize drawing we did at the community housing fair.
All right, yeah, I'd like to get some support to do this at a voucher program at some point in time.
Okay, so, but I just wanted to ask, you weren't intending to change the resolution this evening. You just like to see that discussed in the future or something?
Yeah, there's a lot, we've talked about it. We're trying to spur this, and I'd really like to see this for our low-income residents.
Okay, understood. Councilmember Hagley.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we're able to really focus on, I'm a big believer in incentives over penalties. And I think we all have personal experiences where gas water heater, the tank goes out, like, great. Now's the perfect time to upgrade to go all electric, go down to Home Depot. Oh, they're, not as expensive. Great. And then I find out, well, my panel can't handle it and you've got to go get permits and there's this whole process. So I really like the fact that we're adding panel upgrades, because that allows people to be proactive if they wanted to do some updates to be able to do that, and it helps them out. Also, the EV charger rebate, I think, is crucial to help people as they're making that transition from a gas vehicle to electric. I'm really excited about, the for the care customers, the income qualified customers to be able to buy a car. And I agree with the recommendations for new cars, and including new and used cars, and then capping it at $50,000. I think that's a good number. There are a lot of used cars out there, a lot more that are going to be flooding the market here as leases roll over. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to convert to these programs. So yeah, I'm excited for these. I think this is going to do a lot, and yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to kind of second that and just say, I know when we talked about this in February, was it? It was disappointing that the programs were not utilized very well. So I think these enhancements hopefully will get more of that money out. Money needs to go to these programs. So making it easier, making it a little bit more, I think is all really important. So I support all the recommendations that you have here.
Yeah, I think now that we have this package together, that we'll be able to, put it out there, sell it, and with Mr. Hawley on our team now, it will probably see some more action with a really great program. And I think Councilmember Hagley did a great job of explaining why it's valuable. It really goes hand in hand with a lot of the different types of work that you've been doing, Tara, in terms of preparing us for an electric future. And it goes all the way back to having our own utility so that the power rates are more affordable. And so that just makes the whole electrification process more accessible for more people. So I'm really happy to see this is in front of us. Do we have any? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to echo those comments from my colleagues and say that it would be great also if we can support buy local and our local businesses. So if the city could also include outreach specifically to the car dealers in Healdsburg to let them know that both for new and used EVs and plug-in hybrids that this is available, as well as to any electricians that are a part of our or contractors that are a part of our city business license program, because they are the ones who are going to be doing the installation of new panels or helping people with appliance upgrades, and plumbers as well, I suppose, with water heaters and heat pumps. So just really trying to get the word out to the folks who are out there who would actually be the ones recommending these programs to owners. And if we can put it in the utility bills as an insert to let folks know, I think that would also just trying to figure out all the different ways we can reach residents and let them know this is happening. So I think it's a great program. I'm really delighted that we're exceeding what some of the other utilities are doing, and also to offer these benefits to our residents. And now we just want to see huge utilization. We want you to come back and say, we have no more money because we've hit all the targets on the rebate program. So thank you.
So the outreach that Councilmember Kelly suggested, is that all within reach for you, or is there anything that's a special challenge?
No, those all sound very feasible, letting local providers know, and utility bill inserts. In the past as well, for programs that are specific to care, we've also either done like direct mail or worked with Corazon to do outreach to the customers that are specifically eligible. But for more broad reaching programs, like utility bill inserts work great.
All right, great to hear. Did you want to add something? Okay.
I don't know if we still, and this is a question for the city manager, if we're still doing the Welcome to Healdsburg package for when new residents sign up for utility billing, but is this information that we could include for new residents when they move to town?
It is, and I think that's probably, we are, but I think that's probably due for an update anyways. So with these programs changing, yes, we can work that in.
Councilmember Haley.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. If we could just burn through these funds, how great would it be if we come back and say, hey, we ran out, we'd like to get authorization for some more. That's a great thing. The other thing I wanted to just give a shout out is to OptiWatt. I've been using that. I've had some, issues or whatever as I got used to it, but it is great that it does, not charge during 5 to 8 p.m., but in the middle of the night, I can look on there and I can see it'll charge for a little bit. And then based on eventually when we get to the place of, being able to, you have a more robust time of use type program, it can adjust based on grid capability and when power is the cheapest and all this other stuff. And it's, if you geek out on these things, as former council member Jonah Yokas, who I served with, would love all this. It is fascinating to see that. And I have, your thermostat can be hooked up through that. So that's another thing that you can add, and you get a rebate for $15 every quarter. It's not a crazy amount, but it is something. You get an Amazon card or gift card or something like that. So, but all of this, I think, working together really does move the needle and kind of get us in the direction we want to be.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Entertain a motion, please.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt a resolution authorizing new rebate programs for EV purchases, EV charger, and electric panel upgrades.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hagley?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Edwards?
Yes.
Mayor Harrod?
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 8B, presentation on space utilization and condition assessment study with Central Services Manager Tyler Kettman. Welcome.
All right, good evening, council members and Mayor Harrod. Thank you for the opportunity to present the results of this project to you tonight. So I'm here to discuss our space utilization and condition assessment study that was conducted at the fire and police stations over the past year. Next slide, please. Great, so I'll start with some background on the project, share the process we followed with our consultant, provide some details on the findings of the study, then conclude with how we intend to utilize the findings with next steps before fielding your questions. Next slide. So for some background, the Healdsburg Fire and Police Stations were built in 1991 and 1993 respectively. Aging infrastructure and outdated floor plans have created challenges for staff efficiency, accessibility requirements, and long-term staff performance. These conditions prompted staff to solicit proposals from qualified consultants for a facility assessment and space utilization study with the goal of taking a measured approach to considering deferred maintenance needs alongside needed space plan improvements. So on March 17th, 2025, Council adopted a resolution approving a PSA with the KPA group. And on April 7th, 2025, the city executed that PSA to complete the study. The resulting study, turn my page here. The resulting study provides an analysis of and recommendations for changes to the internal configuration of the facilities to maximize effective usage of the space by staff and assesses the relative condition of the facilities. Deliverables for this report for the study include a formal report, conceptual designs, a prioritized 10-year timeline, a preventive maintenance schedule, and cost estimates. Next slide, please. So process. Staff and KPA began the study process with facility condition assessments. The KPA group made site visits at each facility to conduct thorough inspections and document existing conditions. Findings were organized into 6 building system groups, which included site, exterior, structure, interior, roofing, and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, or MEP components. Observations were supported by input from facility maintenance staff and review of prior city maintenance logs. Maintenance staff provided insight into ongoing issues and historical repairs. After the assessments were completed, KPA provided staff groups in each department surveys to gather information about current space usage, workplace adequacy, current space deficiencies, and projected staffing needs. After the surveys, follow-up meetings were provided to clarify responses, discuss concerns, and develop space improvement concepts. Throughout the process, meetings were held with staff, including department leadership and stakeholders from police department, fire department, and the city manager's office. These discussions provided valuable insight into operational needs and long-term planning priorities. Staff also reviewed interim findings throughout the process and contributed feedback. Finally, cost estimates were prepared, which further outline and prioritize all the identified maintenance and improvement items over a 10-year period. Next slide, please. For the condition assessments, facilities were evaluated using a 5-point rating system, where 1 would be a component in a critical or non-compliant condition, and 5 would be a component in an excellent or newly installed condition. The results of the condition assessment indicate that both the fire and police stations are generally in a fair condition with useful service life. Both facilities require a range of maintenance and renovations to meet current operational standards and extend long-term building performance. These include replacement of interior finishes, minor roof repairs, utility and system improvements, HVAC replacement, ADA improvements, and site and parking upgrades. Next slide, please. For the space improvement concepts, existing concerns at both facilities led us to pursue the space utilization scope of the study. For police, this included examining the use of the jail cells and potential to repurpose that space, lack of functional space for report writing and dispatch operations, and the EOC and IT services space needs. For the fire department, the lack of private offices, the privacy needs and capacity of living quarters and kitchen spaces were considered. The proposed improvement concepts are preliminary and allow the city to build upon and modify improvements during future design and construction phases. Next slide. For the fire department site, proposed improvements include updating dorm space to create 6 private dorm rooms to meet the needs of current crew staff, modifications to existing day room and kitchen space kitchen spaces to expand the available space and equipment for staff, updates to the public restroom on site to meet current ADA, changes to the reception desk in the lobby to improve security and function, and the addition of private offices for staff. Next, we'll look at cost estimates for the fire department and related priority phasing. Next slide, please. Okay, the facility condition assessment estimates here should not be viewed as a scheduled hard costs, but rather a worst case estimation of costs to return each component of the facility to an excellent condition. Since these costs shown are itemized estimates, the actual cost to make repairs will be reduced by integrating them in existing maintenance programs, considering them with related space improvement estimates, and timing the improvements effectively as larger projects. Prioritization and coordination of similar maintenance and repairs can create further cost savings. The goal here is not to fund all these proposed individual costs, but to use these estimates and priorities to determine the most impactful, effective, economical, and efficient path to improve on the identified items. This effort is undertaken not only to consider facility improvements that would increase operational efficiency and capacity, but also consider those improvements alongside the planning and execution of needed maintenance projects. Staff intend to use the study to take a consistent and strategic approach to facility maintenance improvements rather than a reactionary one at the point of failure. Next slide, please. So breaking these groups down, this first group of deferred maintenance costs show staff intend shown, sorry, lost my place. Let me try that again. Okay, so this first group shown, staff intend to consider these costs and incorporate the related tasks into existing facility maintenance program. Most of these tasks are achievable either by staff or by existing city maintenance contractors. Next slide. This next group of CIP costs shown are larger expense capital projects that likely need to be designed and incorporated into a larger project with a formal solicitation. These maintenance items will also require more long-term planning due to their scope. Next slide. And finally, these ADA costs are improvements to bring the site into compliance and will likely be incorporated into the phased space improvements or CIP projects. Next slide. In addition to the deferred maintenance cost, estimates were provided based on the proposed space improvements. Phases are identified to provide priority of recommended improvements for completion. Next slide. So here's the actual proposed budget in the upcoming biennial budget. The fire department space improvements are proposed to be completed with Measure H funding as available budget allows in fiscal year 26-27. Deferred maintenance costs will be integrated into existing building maintenance program budget in future budget years. And the CIP ADA improvements will be budgeted in future years and included in the space improvement projects as appropriate. Next slide. All right, moving on to the police. For the police department site, proposed first floor improvements include new offices, storage, expanded kitchen space, a more effective reception area, expanded space for dispatch, report writing, and improving the layout of staff-facing bathrooms. Next slide. That's okay. For the second floor of the police department, improvements to the locker rooms and server room are proposed. Also, combining training and conference rooms on this floor was proposed to expand the available space for EOC activations and trainings. The police station is currently shared by the city's IT division and used as the city's EOC site. After several space concepts were prepared and revised, it became clear to the project team that attempting to meet the growing needs of the IT staff and the police department staff would come with a cost-prohibitive price tag, while ultimately still requiring each group to make significant operational concessions. At that point, KPA and staff determined the resulting police station final improvement concept plan should focus on the needs of the police department. Updated floor plan concepts were also developed and included in the study. For the IT staff using their existing building footprint as a template. These IT floor plans are intended as a temporary improvement option to consider while staff identify alternative facilities to meet the long-term operational needs of IT. Next slide. So as presented with the fire department, the police department cost estimation is broken into 3 groups of costs. Next slide. The first smaller scale deferred maintenance projects. Next slide. Similarly, the larger CIP costs. Next slide. And finally, the ADA improvements. Next slide. The phases identified for space improvements to the police department prioritize work to be completed as standalone projects should funding be limited. Phases can be completed together or in different orders depending on available budget. Next slide. The recommended phases were sized to be consistent in cost with prior facility improvement projects completed by the city to minimize impact on the general fund and provide an attainable path toward project completion. Next slide. So the actual budget proposed is $250,000 for the police department for the space improvements, with $40,000 budgeted in fiscal year 26-27 to begin the design phase and prepare construction drawings based on the phase improvement concepts. I'll make a note here, the biannual budget for police improvements is proposed to be funded by the fiscal year 24-25 general fund surplus allocation made to the building maintenance fund and is not a new allocation request. Next slide. Okay, staff intend to utilize the deliverables of the study to implement the preventative maintenance schedule provided and consider recommended deferred maintenance projects alongside improvement concepts and establish a prioritized list of projects to consider with budget planning moving forward. Again, the presented space concepts are preliminary and the forthcoming design phase will refine scope and costs. Pending available budget, staff intend to solicit proposals to begin designing and phasing identified projects in the upcoming fiscal year. Staff has used the cost estimates to include budget allocations for projects at these facilities in the proposed biennial budget 26-28. And finally, staff intend to use lessons learned during this process to pursue a future study at the city courtyard with the goal of a consistent improvement approach across all city facilities. Next slide. All right, thank you for the opportunity to share the outcome of the study. Are there any questions I can address?
Thank you. Before we do questions, let's just go ahead and open it up to public comment real quick. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. We'll bring it back to council for questions and comments. Who would like to go first? Councilmember Kelly.
I had a question about the second floor exercise or fitness room at the police department. I think it disappeared off of the plans and to make space for other things. And I just was curious if that is relocated somewhere else or if there is not utilization of that or if that is something that members of the department are okay with losing.
Yes, I think as the plan was proposed, improvements to that existing exercise space would be repurposed as one of the locker rooms, I believe. If we did move on with that later phase, another improvement on the first floor is the existing Sally Port, turning that into an exercise space. So assuming we move forward with eliminating that exercise space, there is a plan to relocate it within the facility.
Okay. And do you based on the way that the plans would evolve and maybe this is a question for Chief Jenkins, if there's high utilization of that space, if when those changes are occurring, I mean, it sounds like the work is going to be phased in over a long period of time and potentially, knowing how our funding works, sometimes there is funding available and then sometimes there's not for a long period of time. Is it feasible that that could potentially go offline? I imagine the locker room is a necessity because people are coming in street clothes and needing to change into their
Right.
uniforms potentially. So that's more of a priority, but I just don't know if not having that space available in between those phases is problematic.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. I think it's, I could, that a problem will present almost at any phase of the
It's a big chicken or
projects,
egg
right?
question about a lot.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, I think it will kind of reveal itself as we move into design phases. We will have to time things appropriately, right? If we're going to address just for example, if we're going to address the dispatch area, we need to find a place to move the dispatch area. That means moving another space in the facility potentially. So yeah, that is something we will consider and address. And if we were to take something offline, just going off prior projects I've been involved with, we would do our best to identify a replacement option in the interim while those things are being upgraded, replaced, renovated. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
since we don't have, I mean, there's a lot, these are big budget line items to do all of this completely, and it's my understanding that we don't have the funds available to do the entire
Everything,
thing.
sure.
Is it the plan that it would just be kind of piecemealed in over time when those funds are available?
Sort of, I think one of the things that was beneficial in the cost estimates for space planning is even within the phases, the consultant broke down the projects into even smaller pieces. So my intention would be to look at those even smaller pieces, revisit with staff and figure out, okay, what do we have available? What makes sense to do? Don't replace something where we're going to lose a critical piece of the facility by doing this upgrade, right? Do the improvements not only that we can do, but that will make sense if phase D, does not happen due to budget constraints.
Yeah, I just have some concerns about just the usability of the spaces when it's like if you were doing a home remodel and you're, doing your kitchen and you're having to not be able to use the kitchen for a certain period of time. And then once that is complete and you can breathe a sigh of relief, and then it's like, now we're going to do the bathrooms. And then it's like, here we go again. And I imagine that for staff, while they're working in these facilities that clearly are, need to be upgraded, and I think we should. I'm also just worried about that piecemeal approach and what it will do to the functionality of the space and morale in general, just kind of the exhaustion of dealing with it for such an ongoing basis. So
yeah, whether we have budget for 1 phase, 3 phases, 2 phases, my goal would be to at least come up with a design in the initial design phase that addressed enough of the facility where we aren't just like poking people in different directions for 10 years, but are accomplishing something in a reasonable time frame.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question regarding the loss of the detention rooms. I wanted to know if the Chief Jenkins feels comfortable with losing that and how that would flow on I saw it firsthand when I did a ride along. So I'm just curious as to how that flow would work with it.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of changes since the building was built in the early 90s as related to regulations in operating a temporary detention facility. Part of those regulations require that we have a police officer available to respond whenever we have someone in custody in a holding facility, which means that if we do that, we lose that person from being out on patrol at the same time. With our staffing as we are today and those regulations, it becomes increasingly difficult to have people held within our facility, absent going through the booking paperwork process. That can be accomplished through other means, holding them in the cars, using other forms that are not temporary holding facilities. And then as we looked at the space planning process and trying to create more square footage in a building that has a defined square footage, one of the ways to recapture it is to repurpose existing space. And that temporary holding facility becomes an underutilized space in the building that we can kind of recapture. if we were to look at just shrinking the size of the detention facility to not have as many holding cells in it, we now would have to comply with current standards in constructing a temporary holding facility, not being under the regulations back from the early 90s. And that would just become a cost prohibitive venture trying to do that.
So you would, if you detain someone, let's say for DUI, they'd be in the back of the car. And if they needed to use the restroom, you would bring them into the building to use the restroom?
So in those situations, we would have them in the back of the car. We would do our paperwork and chemical testing. Can be brought out to the car. We could bring them into a location that would be not a secure detention facility, but another room, interview room, et cetera, that we could have access to for them to use.
Okay, I just want to make sure this would flow for your department, the way you guys function.
It's been something that we've considered for a number of years for various reasons. And again, as we're looking to increase square footage in the defined building that we have, that becomes the best option available to us.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, Ron kind of asked my question about the jail cells, but knowing that that's the square footage that could be available, how much effort would it take? I mean, I'm assuming they're like cement walls or something, or, you know, how hard would it be to turn that into office space?
Yeah, so it's cinder block and concrete, floor, walls, and ceiling. It's going to be a loud and extensive process to convert it over to usable office space. There's electricity, but there aren't outlets. There's lights, but it's not suitable. We just can't take jail doors off and take the bed out and convert the cells into office spaces. So it is a lot more complex than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, it would be worth doing that, I presume, in the future when the funds are available?
To reclaim the space, yes, that's what
Yeah.
we're going to have to do. Logistically, this is going to be probably the biggest hurdle in the project because, as you know, our dispatch center is right across the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to remove that concrete, we need jackhammers and heavy equipment. And at the same time, you have someone answering 911 calls within that building.
One other question I had was, I was surprised, I probably should have known this, that IT shared space with the police department. It doesn't seem like sort of a natural share space idea. Is there any issues, are there any issues associated with that at this point?
No, it came about, right, that at the time we had room in our building available and IT was looking for a home. So we have homed them. And in that time, they've also grown in their size and needs.
But so continuing to share with them until the other things can happen is okay?
We make it work, yes.
You make it work?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Did you have a question? No? Okay. Any other questions here? I just want to thank Chief Jenkins and City Manager for allowing me to take a tour recently of the police department, and it was long overdue and definitely worthwhile to see some of the challenges in that facility. But it's good to have a plan. So I'm glad we're at this point. I know funding is a problem, but certainly the need is real, and our staff deserve these sorts of improvements. The only real question I had was, at what point, or maybe it's already happened, have you had input from the police staff on what changes they might like to see, or
This on? Yeah. Staff were given surveys as part of the space planning
Okay.
portion of the study.
All right. So maybe the police department is got more problems than the fire department. I didn't mean to leave you out, Chief Boaz, but did you have anything you wanted to say about this report before we close this item?
Thank you for question. Not at this time. I think we're headed in the right direction. I think they did a great job on the report. I agree with a lot of the findings, and I think we have a real opportunity here to phase this in. over time, based on the recommendations in the report and utilizing the revenue source for Measure H for some of the enhancements. So I think we're headed in the right direction. And as we move forward, it'll come more into focus and it'll work out.
Okay, thank you. Another item is to receive a presentation, but I was wondering, is there anything that staff needs in terms of input from the council on this before we conclude?
Not for mine.
You're right. This is just a presentation at this time, so we don't need a formal action. I'll just reiterate, as Tyler mentioned, and as you've all asked good questions about the funding challenge that I know you understand very well. It's a little scary to complete a report like this when we don't have unlimited funds and we set something of an expectation that will address all of these deficiencies that are in the report. I think that's a better outcome, though, than not assessing the deficiencies and letting these aging buildings just continue to get worse. So we know, and that can help us formulate a plan, but also, as Tyler mentioned, there are a number of things that we can do without a whole lot of intrusion on the operations and without a ton of money. So you're already starting to see a little bit of that in the budget for both facilities. So we're going to look for some ways to pick off what I'd call some low-hanging fruit, or things that's like putting the slurry seal on the street so it doesn't get to the point where you need to tear the whole thing up. And we always have done projects like that, but this gives us a way to do that, I think, more thoughtfully and more effectively. So that's the near-term plan. And then longer term, I cannot sit here and tell you we have a plan to fund some of the bigger ticket items, but at least we have a better grasp about what they are. So for future, we're just doing a budget right now, and we'll pick off some of those small things. And then perhaps 2 years from now, we'll see if we can find a way to do some of the bigger things. It'll be a process and it'll take time, but I think it's important to have this sense right now because I notice it, and I know you all notice it, and certainly the staff in both departments knows that these buildings are starting to show their age. And
yeah,
I don't think we're going to lose the buildings, but I think we need to invest in making them work for today's needs.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of how we engage the staff that uses these facilities in this process?
In the space planning process?
Yeah, or just like understanding, like say, for example, there's one particular thing at the police station or the fire station that everybody who uses that particular space knows is like highly problematic, and we should make sure to fix it when we do this process. Or like there's something that everybody really wants to get fixed first. Did we do any type of prioritization or have a conversation about what staff's noticing or experiencing?
Yes, I mentioned the surveys or distributed staff, and that was part of what was put into the study by the consultant. We also shared our own, I oversee our building maintenance division. So we have like a ticketing system where we track these type of issues. So that was something that was put in as well. Like, hey, here are the trends we're seeing from staff. Here are the requests we get from this, for this building or that building, those kind of things. Yeah, I think the staff engagement was more focused on the space planning side. But I guess my one comeback would be like, we kind of know the recurring issues pretty well from the facility maintenance side. And we're able to give that feedback to the consultant so they can consider it in their own inspections. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess my question for the city manager around when you're talking about the budgeting constraints and knowing that we're looking at, is it the source of funds for the fire station? I think I saw in the report is to potentially utilize Measure H funds. And we are still waiting on the standards of cover study that I think is coming in June, if memory serves. So how will we know what the priority is, and how will you guys make the decision around prioritizing the budget when we have kind of that limited pot of funds and potentially two priorities competing against one another for utilizing those funds?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's multiple, it's not just facilities and staffing. It's also, as the chief mentioned, I think during the budget conversation,
Equipment.
there's all of the fuels mitigation work. There's we could probably make a big list. In the short term, what I'd say is we're proposing to use a chunk of funds that are accumulated fund balance for Measure H, because the funds started coming in before we established that plan. I would consider that one-time money, and one-time money really makes sense for one-time needs. And we're only proposing a chunk of it, not the entirety anyway. So to me, I think that's a logical use that makes sense in this current budget. Going forward, how much of Measure H is used for ongoing operations, facilities, fuels management is really not determined, and that'll be part of what we'll have to look at in the totality. It'll be a lot easier to do when we have some ideas in front of us and some numbers for staffing proposals. And we'll be able to say, okay, well, this would use up X% of Measure H, which would leave Y% for everything else. Are we comfortable with that? That'll be part of the upcoming work that we'll all be doing here as we take that report. There's not a set allocation of how we break up those funds at this point. But again, in the short term, since we're sitting on some fund balance, that's effectively, to me, one-time money. And it's a good opportunity before we get to that point to bang out some of these needs that we know have been festering.
Okay, thanks.
I know sometimes we get federal funds for police equipment. Are there ever grants and federal funding for building improvements?
I'll look at the chiefs, but my experience is, I wish I could give you a more hopeful answer, is not really. Aging public facilities do not tend to sing in grant applications. I promise you, we will keep our eyes out and look for opportunities, but I wouldn't hold out too much hope that there's going to be millions coming in for facility rehab. I haven't seen it before.
All right, thank you.
I think we are complete here. Just checking. Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. All right, so for the next item, the Sonoma County Library Commission vacancy, I'm going to recuse. My wife works for the library system, so I'm going to turn this over to Vice Mayor Edwards.
Thank you. This is a item to appoint a library commissioner by our city clerk, Raina Allen.
Good evening, council members. I don't have a PowerPoint for you this evening, but the action as stated by Vice Mayor Edwards is to appoint a city council subcommittee to interview applicants for the Sonoma County Library Commission. Andy Elkind is not renewing his seat on the Library Commission, so it's your opportunity to appoint somebody new. We received 3 applications. 2 were on time, 1 was late. And once you appoint the subcommittee, I will schedule interviews. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Before we go to questions, is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Councilman Higley.
I have a quick question. So this is the second application period we've had in a row where there's been a late application, and we didn't discuss it during the SMART Community Advisory Committee period. We kind of glossed over that. I kind of have an issue with that. Either we have a policy that we're going to just accept applications till whenever, or there's a deadline, because I think, people, it's does a little disservice to the people that get them in on time when, the application was out. It's just something that I wanted to bring up, because I know last time it wasn't discussed. Whatever we decide is fine, in this case, but I do think we need to be consistent going forward of, here's the deadline. If it's afterwards, thank you. If something happens, we'd like to pull that up or something. I don't know, but just wanted to get your thoughts.
I think it's great that you raised it. It's been an interesting time. I think we've had a couple different interview processes where we've had people who applied show up to the interview and they're like, oh, I thought I applied for something else. Nope, this isn't for me. That was an interesting one. Or we've had people who apply who really want it. And then between the time of their application and when we go to interview them, life has changed. They've got a new job, moved out of town, et cetera. And so I think given, it's certainly because these are like 4-year terms or 3-year terms for other commissions, we're asking for a serious commitment from someone. And I think they should, take it seriously. And I think that's what the interview process is for. But then I've also heard from folks who've applied late or applied the day of, I didn't know about this and I'm so interested in it. I've heard from a neighbor and it just, I don't follow you on Facebook. I'm not on social media. I didn't know it was happening. So I think it's also some of those, the times where people want to get involved, but they don't necessarily, when we hear it all the time that people don't know what's happening at the city and we're like, we scream it from the rooftops, but we're just not reaching everybody. So I really appreciate you raising it. I do think it happens a lot. As you said, it just happened before. But I also think I think we should also raise it in the interview process as part of this is a serious commitment. We want you to fulfill the entire term. Are you really sure that you can show up to the meetings on time, be a part, like ask for a level of commitment in the interview process and really ask folks to consider it. But I do hear what you're saying about people applying late. And I think given the excuses that I've heard, that some of them are seemingly, reasonable for why it didn't come in on time. They didn't know. I'm okay with allowing them, but knowing it is somewhat of a red flag. Like, and for someone shows up late to a job interview, also a red flag.
Yeah, it is kind of an interesting question too. And in this case, I'm not sure when the deadline was, but the fact that we haven't chosen a subcommittee and we haven't started any of the interviews yet, I'm not sure how meaningful that deadline was, right? Or is in this case. I'm not sure why we set it up that way. So, and there's only 3 people on this one. And there've been other times where there's been nobody. So, it's kind of a catch as catch can at this point. I think that, and I don't know which one was late or not, so I don't know if that's even something that we would flag. I don't know. I think we should go ahead with it. But to Councilmember Kelly's point, talk about the commitment level, which we would anyway, I think, right? Because that really is key. And I think Andy has done a fantastic job. And I think after a while, it became a little bit of a burden because there was a lot on his shoulders. So, being on that committee is a lot. So we need to be really careful there.
Yeah, I'll bring it back. I think that this is the second time, as Councilman Hagley brought up, that we've had this. We are fortunate that the late application wasn't the only applicant. And I think that we should be clear that going forward, we really expect, it's a respect thing of that when we give a timeline for everybody to get their opportunity in, it's a level playing field when everybody has that same deadline. So I think that it could be something we could look at going forward. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. We've all done this a lot, and I don't want to veer too far off the topic, but when you do have people that submit applications on time, I do feel like either we have a deadline or we don't. So maybe it's, they're kind of, there's an alternative, one of the two, or in this case, one of the two, or when we did the SMART thing, maybe like going forward, it's like, all right, we're going to consider the applicants that came in that followed the rules, applied on time. But hey, we've got this other option of, the applicants that submitted on time are like, oh, man, this might be better. We can pull them up from the bench, so to speak. So I don't know. It's just a thought. I'm a big process guy. I don't like just, we have a deadline, blow past it. It doesn't matter because hypothetically this might happen or somebody might not realize this or that. We don't know right now. As far as we know, they all could be really well qualified. And I think it does say something to, in this case, the 2 applicants that submitted on time. But anyway, so outside of that, that was it.
I'm inclined, since this is our first discussion of this, it's public. The public knows how we feel about these deadlines and fairness going forward. I think that it should be something that we can hold a solid line on and not accepting late applications going forward. Is there support for that?
I don't support it because I just don't know what the future holds. And I feel like if we have an open vacancy to something we need to fill and no one submits on time, but we get someone that comes in late and they're qualified, I'd rather have that person than no one in a vacant situation. So I feel like I can't speak to a future state.
I think in the past, when we've had no applicants at the time, we've reopened the application process. We've set an extension for that. So I can see that if there is no applicant, we would officially extend that application time. So I don't see that being a real problem in that situation. Back forward. All right. Let's move on and start.
I'm interested in being on the subcommittee if someone would support that.
All right. Do we have anybody else who'd like to be on the subcommittee to appoint the library commissioner?
I'd be willing to be on the committee too.
Okay, so we have Councilmember Kelly and Councilmember Mitchell. Going forward, can I get a vote for this?
I move to appoint Councilmember Kelly and Councilmember Mitchell to the 2-member subcommittee to interview the library commissioner applicants.
I second that.
Right, and roll call vote?
Councilmember Haley?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Edwards?
Yes. Hand the meeting back over to Mayor Hay.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to council reports. Who'd like to go first? David?
I have a couple of things to report. On the 11th, last Tuesday, after our budget meeting, I headed up to Sacramento for 8 hours of final interviews and deliberations on who the next general manager for NCPA will be. And I'll give you an update once we have all that settled.
Saga, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot of meetings and interviews over the past since late last year. And then on Thursday, the 14th, I had the fun job of giving a quick tour of City Hall to Windsor Cub Scout Group 20. And kind of walked them through. They all got to sit up here and move around. And when we're all done, kind of talked about infrastructure and pointed things out, Foley Pavilion, like where people sit, did public comment and all that. The kids were up here and like, I want to be the mayor and let's take pictures, gavel. We go outside and 2 of our brave officers are adjusting the doors, come walking around and they go, yeah, we got a panic call. So I said, all right, because they were asking, what are those lights? I said, did any of you hit a little white button behind the desk? And so, yeah, so it works. So just so you know, it was a false alarm. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never had to use it.
I'm glad it works.
Yeah. And then Saturday, I was there with a number of you for the presentation of the check to the future farmers, the Healdsburg future farmers of $25,000. It was great to see that. And, I also see on the other side where the money actually goes to support the kids on their, to go to like the FFA conventions and things like that. And it covers the costs of, the different, classes and things that the kids do. So it was really nice to be able to see that and just kind of see the event itself and how it's, functioning and things like that. And then finally looking forward to the Healdsburg Future Farmers Country Fair and Twilight Parade, whose theme is Sweet Home Healdsburg. And I wanted to ask the city manager, we'd talked in the past about the bathrooms and also the garbage bin delivery and things like that were kind of the issues that were brought up. I was just curious if you had any update as things really kick off here on Wednesday.
Sure. I'll give you a quick update on the bathrooms. We took it clearly that was a priority for the council. The fair was not able to commit the resources to do that this year, so we did cobble together part-time staff to do so. So I think a long-term solution still eludes us, but we have a plan for this weekend. I don't know exactly what the plan is, and I don't see our director for trash, but I know the concerns were forwarded, so I'm hopeful we'll be in good shape there too.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll leave it to the mayor for the theme for our parade, and that's the end of my report.
Okay, next, go ahead.
Just a couple of things, and it all relates to animals for me. I have been meeting with the Humane Society at Healdsburg Shelter recently. They are working on a strategic plan to try to make sure that they incorporate all of their shelters, including Healdsburg, more, and having community engagement, kind of reinstituting that, because I think a lot of people still don't really realize it's even there. And they are taking on a lot of responsibilities for sheltering animals. I think they're working on a contract with Petaluma and Windsor and Cloverdale too. So they're going to really have to activate the shelter here more. So that's all good news. And it's their new executive director is very, very smart and really committed to getting this done. So this is a good group. And I'm on the committee with a couple other former board members from the shelter. So they all are very familiar with the situation. So that's encouraging. That's been a long time coming. And then the other thing that we did this week or last week, I guess it was thank you, Ray, starting the Furry Friends campaign to get animals adopted. And so the fire department and the organization Compassion Without Borders brought out, I think, about 6 dogs. And we spent a couple hours there getting pictures of them with the firefighters, and it was a blast. So we'll start watching for that. I know that Ray will be rolling that out. So it's been fun. And they loved it. The firefighters loved it too, I think. Everybody was, we were all pulling out our phones, showing each other pictures of our dogs. So it was really cute. So that's all I have.
That does sound fun. Okay, who's next? Yeah.
We all attended the Smart Station groundbreaking Next Stop Healdsburg event that was not necessarily a groundbreaking, but more of a golden spike slamming. And it was really fun. Hammering. And I just want to say it was so fun getting to see the Foley Pavilion packed with that many people and so many folks from every elected official up and down, and our region, and members from the state and federal funders who came. And I think Healdsburg definitely, we were shining bright. Everybody was like, I've never been here before, but we're coming back. And so it's so proud to get to share the new pavilion with so many folks from the community, and for our whole council to get to be there and celebrate this big milestone. I know a lot of folks are really excited about the train coming to town. And then I was able to attend the Healdsburg Little League Championship AA game on Saturday. The Healdsburg Blue Jays won this year's championship, and I happened to be the proud parent of one of those Blue Jays. So it was really fun, and the kids had a great season. And, next up is we have Prune Packer starting in 2 weeks. I was going to say All-Stars baseball, but yes, so lots of fun sports happening in town. And then it was wonderful to get to see all of the events happening on Saturday, the farmers market, the Tianguis marketplace in the afternoon, the Healdsburg Food and Wine grand tasting, and getting to be there to do the check presentation to the FFA kids. There was a lot happening in Healdsburg this weekend, but also it was pretty great to see how well the facilities kind of managed that number of people. And looking forward to hearing how the community received it. But I know there were a lot of locals that were there and a lot of local wine businesses that were participating. I saw a ton of people that I knew kind of from different facets of town, which was interesting to get to see who's participating both on the business side and then on the consumption side. So, okay, thanks.
Yes, it was a busy weekend, and there was not a lot of congestion in town. It was nice that we could handle so many events and still have traffic flow and people getting around. I did go to the Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members Association and to fill in for our mayor. And it was a little sad with the presentation about HR1 at the county level about how much that's going to affect our community, where they're expecting between 9 and 25,000 Sonoma County residents to lose health care. So those will be affecting, and the point of that is that those people aren't going to just disappear. They'll be ending up at emergency rooms and getting that care. So the county will be working and coming out with a better presentation on how they plan to approach that as far, and also food insecurity, because those HR1 cuts are starting to hit now through the end of the year. So that was the presentation. And I would like to ask for an agenda item. I would like to get support to have staff bring back a voucher program for the e-bikes, if possible.
Can you tell me what that means? Like, sorry, I know we're not supposed to talk about the item, but I don't think I understand the difference between what we're doing now and what you're proposing.
Right now, we're asking people to, at the low income level, to put out money out of their pocket that a lot of them don't have. That's a lot of the imbalances of a lot of the way we do things, even on council. It's a reimbursement process. And if you don't have the money to put it out, you know, if they had $1,000 around, they would probably be using that for food or something else. Immediate needs, whereas this bike might be very helpful for them, getting kids to and from locations, from getting them to and from work. So the voucher would be, they would come into the city, would provide a voucher for them. They could go to a local business and pay the difference. That way they would not be having this money coming out of their pocket. And it really helps lower income people when it's not a rebate, but a voucher.
I would support that discussion.
Okay, we just need to now, according to our new protocol. So can I just get a little feedback from city manager on that proposal?
I'll just follow up with one question. If the council has any direction on when you'd like to see that come back.
When it fits in with the staff schedule.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
if no concerns, I will consult with the appropriate staff and we'll get that on a future agenda.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I support it as well. Thank you. Anything else? Vice Mayor?
No.
You're good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's probably the busiest 2 weeks I've had since I've been on council. Last 2 weeks, it's been actually quite great. But May is always nuts, especially if you're a parent. But there's just been a lot going on, and it's been pretty cool. So top of my list, not in chronological order, but just wanted to mention that the Smart Train event really was kind of unveiling of a whole nother aspect of the Foley Center, as Councilmember Kelly said, and so that was really exciting. It really went off without a hitch. Everybody was super happy about it and really excited about it, and I think it just, even though the train's a couple years out, it just helps. It was sort of a rally for Healdsburg as a destination now, and so it was fantastic to see so many people, you know, the political dignitaries and so on, who came to support the whole change that's coming to town. And so it was a really inspiring moment to be there. So I'm glad we were all present for that. I went to a planning commission meeting, which I just like to do every once in a while, and to check on the work they're doing. I also went to the Parks and Rec Commission because I was doing a lot of the presentation. So that happened. Just worthwhile to see recent appointees in action, and they're all doing good work. Nothing really needs to be reported on in terms of the content of those meetings. It's all available to you, but I just want to let you know I was there. I did go to an event for the Caldera group, sort of a kickoff fundraiser for them, and we're all aware of what that is, I think, at this point. But it was nice to see that group is very well organized and cohesive, and they've got a lot of energy and vision, and it's nice to see them up and running. I too went to the wine and food experience check ceremony. That was really fun. The cows were incredibly cute, and it was good to check on some local people who were there while we were there. And just want to let you know that I am meeting with Steve DeVeris, the organizer, soon to talk about the future with those guys, and you know, see what that looks like, have that conversation. And he invited me to come to the opening event that they had at Appalachian. And so I went there, I said a few words, and it was always good to brag about Healdsburg, wine and food, but I was able to also tell everybody about all the other cool things about our community, how well we support each other, and our generosity, our, you know, our parks, our art scene, all the other good stuff that we do. And people were really excited to hear about that stuff. I think they're glad to touch in on a real community when they visit. So that was kind of cool. Also went to the water management presentation. Very well done, very thoughtful. I was a little late. Ron was a little early, right? You were there, and but that was very well done, and there was good participation from the community at that event. Like Councilmember Kelly said, sometimes the role between parent and mayor in my case gets a little blurry. So that happened with the next couple of items. I went to a Kiwanis meeting and a Rotary meeting where they recognized different students for different things, and so that's happening. And of course, I have a kid involved, so I don't want to get into that. But it's really amazing just to see the community support of our young students from both those really important groups. I also went to the Rotary's teacher recognition event and did a proclamation there where they recognized teachers from all the various local schools, and that was really cool. And then finally, we get a yearly visit from the Alexander Valley School third grade with Colleen Flores, who is retiring this year. I also went to her retirement event. But so her kids came in. We did the tour with Raina, and we did a mock city council meeting, and it was super fun. And I know that a lot of you have done that before. What's that? Nobody pushed a button. I didn't tell them there was a button there to push. I don't know. Maybe someone just found it, but but they were great kids and they learned a lot, and I had a good time. And I think that's all we got. So we're going to adjourn the meeting at 7:59:33.